Awesome. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Tuesday Live. We have Brad Hart here today. Brad, thank you for joining.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much. How do I share this, by the way? Where is it on Facebook?
You can go to our page,
Okay, great. I'll do that
and
now.
then afterwards you can share from there. I
Okay,
will
doke.
tag you in it as well.
Cool.
Awesome. So, Brad, who are you? Let's start with that one.
So who am I? My name is Brad Hart. I'm a human from the planet Earth, specifically the Long Island region. Uh, some people might say that we're not the same type of humans as everybody else, but I would say that we are. We are very loving, caring individual mammals that get in groups and do amazing things together. In fact, great things. Here we are.
There you
Uh,
go.
yeah, so I grew up there and I've lived in California for the last 5 years. That's where I met you, Alex, and a bunch of wonderful people here in Southern California. We live in San Diego. It's a beautiful place with a wonderful community. It's highly spiritually active and entrepreneurially active, and everybody's got businesses, including myself. I have a couple of businesses I've run over the years. One was a hedge fund I did pretty well with when I was like 26 years old. And now, to put that in context, I have 3 rules, right? And my 3 rules are help a lot of people, have a lot of fun, make a lot of money. Back then, I was only living by rule 3. So now, make sure you live by all the rules. So the new iteration of business, not to make a short story long, is Make More Marbles, where we help entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, authors, leaders, executives, speakers to create mastermind groups to serve more people, create more impact in less time.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit more about Make More Marbles and what do you do with Make More Marbles? A little bit more of what you do.
Mostly, I make people have a tongue twister moment when they say it. That's the most fun that I have with it. But really, what it is it's kind of my mission, right? When I was in hedge fund land and trading and doing that whole thing, I was really focused on the bottom line and making a lot of money. And I was making that money in a way that was not wrong or bad. I mean, it's a free marketplace, but it was always that somebody had to lose in order for me to win, right? Whenever you make a trade in the marketplace, there's always a winner and a loser. Same thing with real estate. Like there's only so much room in that deal. So if you earn more, then somebody else earned less than someone there. They're all zero-sum games. And I realize now if you zoom out, that's part of the wealth creation cycle is deciding what things are worth and trading them in the open marketplace. But that wasn't the part of the creation cycle that I wanted to be in. It was like I was the hungry hippos grabbing for all the marbles. I wanted to just make more marbles. So that's where the name came from. And I liked that it had an alliteration to it, and it had kind of a ring to it. And the idea was born as a blog actually 5 years ago. And my goal at the time was to reach 1 million people. And it took us 3 years to reach 1 million people through our work and our writing. And then I have the great fortune to realize like, wow, last month we reached 1 million people through our partnership with Tony Robbins and that promotion through Facebook. It came through my email like, hey, you reached 1 million people this month. I'm like, wow, that's incredible. So the mission is expanding and growing month over month, year over year, quarter over quarter. I'm really excited to be a part of it.
That's awesome. Congratulations. That's huge.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we landed in, top 24. I think we're number 24 for 1,100 affiliates with Tony. And that was the biggest launch of all time. So it's a pretty big deal.
That's awesome. So that's a great segue into how do you do it, right? The mastermind and how, Tony Robbins has now kind of put masterminding in the spotlight. It's been around for many, many years and helped so many entrepreneurs. So let's talk a little bit about that and what are the benefits of masterminding.
Yeah, so a mastermind, the way I look at it, is a group of people who have a similar lean in life or they want similar things. Maybe they all want to have successful businesses or create a bigger impact or contribute. And as they go through that growth and contribution journey, they have challenges, right? They have problems that show up. And the best way to grow and realize you're still alive is have a worthy opponent, a good challenge. Mm-hmm. So what do? Do you try to solve all these problems by yourself? Well, it's likely that people have gone through these problems before. They at least have some insight that you wouldn't maybe have just in your own little echo chamber. So coming to this mastermind group allows you to you present your challenge to the group, to get asked clarifying questions, and to really go deep on what the actual challenge is. So it's really clear. And then people in the group offer solutions, and you do things called a hot seat. And there's like 15 different ways to run a mastermind, but that's the way I like to run them, is just have these, laser focused attention sessions on you specifically for your business, 8 to 12 minutes, and really get to the heart of what's going on. And that's super valuable. So that's how we do it. And that's how we create value for our audience members. And then I also teach people how to build mastermind groups. So becoming leaders and facilitators and certifying themselves as that. And we have a kind of a sub brand that we launched called buildamastermind.com. and we're doing different challenges. You can check out buildingmastermind.com/challenge, which is free, and things along that line if you're interested in building masterminds.
That's awesome. And I personally have attended Brad's mastermind. He holds it. Now they're in Cardiff. And I love the structure of what it is, like clarifying questions, because so many times we think that the problem is over here and really it's way over here. So that's a great way to grow your business and grow your community as well. So with that, it perfectly segues into, what you're bringing to the conference. You're our mastermind facilitator. So what are you excited about in facilitating these mastermind panels?
That's right. And I think what I'm most excited about is the size and scope, because the conference is much bigger than, I think our masterminds are between like 15 and 25 people at the biggest. And I like it that way. It's intimate. It's interesting. I think the biggest one I did was in Bali. So like, over 3 days, we probably had 15, 20 people do it. And it was just consistent. With this conference, it offers a new challenge, which is it's much more people. So how are we going to do it? Are we going to do it more like popcorn style? We're going to have them all on stage. I've given some thought to that, but I'll definitely continue to kind of work out the format for a larger group, just depending on what the final count is, and we'll decide on the day and go after it. Because I love it as a facilitator, because you don't have to show up with a lot of prepared material. You kind of give people the ground rules, and then they create the content, they create the challenges, they create the support. And I've seen it work pretty much verbatim at bigger gatherings. Mike just did one for the Greatness Foundation, and he used my format, and it worked out really well. And he had people break into smaller groups. So it can be really valuable even on a large scale if you keep it like the way it was intended to be.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's something that kind of want to piggyback on of the value of, it's mastermind comes from like the mastery of the minds, right? So I hear so many people who are, and I've even been asked this question where people are doing market research of like, I'm going to host a mastermind. How much would you pay? And I was like, well, who's going to be there? Because it's all about the minds who are in the room, and they think it's more about people showing up and talking specifically to them. So that's something that as a host or a facilitator, you need to kind of know and acknowledge of it's about everyone in the room that comes and contributes and brings value, and not just that one person, right? So you do that in a
yeah, and being a facilitator is so important to recognize that you can have a mastermind at any level. You don't have to be at the same level as your people, right? Mm-hmm. Because they're coming for each other just as much as they're coming for you. So the fact that you have a large audience, or you're, super wealthy, or you've been very successful in business or not, is not determinant of whether you're going to be a great mastermind leader. It's all about how you get people into the room, how you make them comfortable, how you get them to be vulnerable and open up and keep that space open for transformation. And then they do the work. If you're a great facilitator, you don't do a lot of the work. You don't take the spotlight. It's not the Brad Hart show, or anybody else's show for that matter. It's really about serving the room and being in that intention of higher service that allows these breakthroughs to happen. And it's incredible when it works.
So we're about to open up for questions to any of the viewers or people who have been watching the replay and have questions now. You can drop them below in the comments, but I have a question of, when you started out leading a mastermind, what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced at the beginning, right? Because you didn't just start with all of this knowledge on how to lead a mastermind. So what were like the common mistakes or the biggest mistakes that you found early on in the process? Yeah,
and my own story is I started attending masterminds in 2011 on the advice of a guy named Tim Ferriss, actually, kind of crazy. I think you know him. And he mentioned that his friend, who he wouldn't tell me who the name was, I'll just tell the quick story because it's really interesting. I was in Africa with Tim for like 10 days. And during our trip there, he asked what I wanted to do in my life. And when I told him, he's like, hey, you ever been to North Korea? I'm like, no. He's like, you want to go? I'm like, why? It's like, I don't know. My friend's running a trip there. I think you'd really like it. I'm like, who's your friend? He's like, I can't tell you. I'm like, are you going on this trip? He's like, no. I'm like, why do I want to go to North Korea? I didn't end up going to North Korea, long story short. But the guy who was running the trip was a mutual friend of ours now, a guy named Neil Strauss, who's a famous author. He's written, I think, 10 New York Times bestsellers, one of the best living writers, depending on who you ask. And he ended up doing this mastermind. I was a part of it for like 3 years. It's still on to this day. I meet people all the time and, that are like alumni of it. So I started out by doing masterminds. That was where I learned kind of what worked, what didn't. And that group had a lot of positives and a lot of, things that could have been done better. And I always thought, okay, if I had the skills, I would do this a little bit differently. But at that time I didn't. And it wasn't until I went through Tony Robbins trainings that I really felt I was equal to the task of facilitating a group like that. I'd seen a lot of personal transformations and breakthroughs where I felt like, okay, I can step in and really have an impact here. And I'm consistently investing in my skill set and masterminds for that matter. I've been a part of 27 masterminds now. I'm still doing NLP trainings and Landmark and all kinds of different things. I'm actually going for 2 weeks for Master Prac this month. So the training never stops if you want an exceptional life, and then you can level up to do it differently and better over time. And the more skills I acquire, the better I am at recognizing what's helpful and what isn't, how to keep things on track and just keeping people flowing, more so than worrying about so much what I'm contributing. So that's the kind of ninja move that I've ascertained over the years. Where I feel like most people are making mistakes is it becomes the, if it was your mastermind, the Alex show or the Brad show, it's like it becomes all about them and what they have to teach. And they're overlooking that there's so many smart people with different problems and solutions in the group. The best thing to do as a facilitator is to wait till the end and leave yourself a minute or two where you can add your 2 cents based on what everybody else has shared to make sure it's valuable and just kind of like, rubber stamp it at the end. And that tends to work very well, is speak last, give the most you possibly can, keep everybody on track, and get out of the way of everybody else contributing. Because that's what they're there for too. They don't always realize it, and that's not the first thing they decide, but they get the most value and satisfaction out of actually contributing to others when they're there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Like, leave it for last kind of thing, because so many people do. They create this as an ego boost almost, and that just is going to make it fail from the get-go, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's not what people are there for. But I do love the importance of having a mastermind as an entrepreneur, because so many times, especially now in the digital era, we're, our office by ourselves or solopreneurs, especially when you start out. And so you don't have the ability to bounce ideas off of someone as naturally as you would in a mastermind. And that confidentiality that stays there, I think, is also key.
Yeah, privacy is huge. I mean, I've never had this issue particularly. Like, nobody's ever complained to me that people are sharing their business and their details, but I'm very clear about that. If you're going to come into the space, everything is meant to be shared in the privacy of the space and not repeated outside. But that can be a huge challenge. I have a lot of clients that ask me that too. Like, what if I have competitors in the same group, or what if I have this, that, and the other thing? It really doesn't come up as much as you think. And a lot of times it's just a fear that's your brain is inventing to have a challenge. But if it does happen, these are realistic things that you would, facilitate through. You'd work through. You'd have the conversation with those people. You'd make sure that anybody who, breaks the rules, they get a warning and then they're gone. If that happens. But I have 400 members now in this group that I run weekly, and I've had countless clients as well through these programs, and I haven't really had that many issues. People have been mostly awesome.
That's great. And I think a lot of that is the leader and who they attract as the community, right?
For sure.
Reflection on who you are as a person.
That's the old adage, your vibe attracts your tribe. It's really true.
Exactly. It is so true. Well, we have a couple of minutes for questions. If anyone either watching the replay or watching now has any questions for Brad, now is the time to do so.
I'll be tagging the replay. If anybody wants to hashtag replay, down below, ask a question, anything about masterminds. I'm super happy to help, whatever you guys need. And I hope to see you at the conference. If you're coming, Conscious Coach Conference, give us a little breakdown of when that is and where it's going to be at.
So September 28th to October 1st. September 28th is specifically for more VIPs. We're going to have our regular check-in and then VIP dinner with all of the speakers. Then September 29th through October 1st will be full days of conference. The VIPs get 2 masterminds. Brad will be leading them with a panel of speakers from 4 to 7 speakers at a time. So you get kind of opinions from all sides of the field, right? So September 2019, be there, San Diego. The weather is just now hit perfect and summer weather.
Yeah, just nailed it. So nice. Yeah, it's gonna be a great summer. I can't wait. I can't wait to see you all there. And September's gonna be here before you know it. So grab your ticket now, lock it in, get your travel plans in order. No, you can't all stay on my couch, but I will help if I can.
We might in our tribe have other couches, but
that's true.
I mean, the VIP ticket includes not only Mastermind, but 3-month stay as well. And that's, I don't think, ever heard of in any conferences. So we're doing that for all of those coming out of town.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's a no-brainer then. You've taken care of everything. And I don't know how much you know about Alexandria's background, but she's incredible at hosting these events and working with the hotel venues and getting all that off the line. She's just so sharp when it comes to that stuff. So just know it's going to be an incredible experience, and you're well taken care of.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, last call for questions. If not, I'll probably have another question come up here in a second.
Sure, go for it.
Um,
I'm here and excited to answer any questions, any and all questions we have.
The next question is, what is your vision for the rest of the year? I mean, we just exactly hit,
That's right.
end of the 6th month. So what is your vision for the rest of the year?
Yeah, and I think it's really easy to paint a picture of everything's amazing all the time on the internet and, only share your wins. Some of the things that people like about me, and I think the reason people follow me is because I keep it real for the most part. Like I tell people, like, I'm having an off day. I need some help. I'm struggling with this or that, the other thing. And I share viscerally, deeply, vulnerably about my life in the hopes that more people, I encourage more people to do the same. Not like to make it a wine fest or anything like that, but just to balance out all the lovey-dovey amazing all the time. So Q1 was an incredible smashing success on all fronts. I hit all my financial goals in like 51 days and just incredible stuff happened. And then Q2, I hit the skids, honestly. Like it wasn't bad. We did really well. We did better than Q1, but it didn't meet my goal or my expectations. And it came at a great personal cost. And there was a lot of relationship stuff and health up and down stuff. I'm still just now finding my footing again to get into Q3. And I really want to start on a thing, but I'm definitely noticing the signs and symptoms of burnout. So if you're an entrepreneur, if you're out there, having that group of people, not necessarily even just a mastermind group, but just any kind of group of people that you can rely on that really get where you're at, because it's difficult as you progress. There's less people that really relate to you. And there's a funny old saying is that people will respect you for your wins. Mm-hmm. And they'll love you for your losses, because not everybody can relate to your success or your wins, but everybody can relate to failing and to having a loss. So it's so important, especially when the tables turn and there's ups and downs, which is life, right? That's how you know you're alive, is you have problems. To remember that you're a real person who has real friendships that stand the test of time and weather the storm. And not just some character on the internet or some business owner or some bulletproof CEO or entrepreneur, or whatever your identity for yourself is. It's really important to remain humble and remain vulnerable, because life is going to hand you its share of challenges that you have to work through, and having a community makes it way more tolerable and supportive.
Yeah, for sure. And I love that you said that, because a lot of times it's like that post that was on the internet of the iceberg, right? And how success is just the tip of the iceberg, and how underneath there's all of these challenges, especially as an entrepreneur, that a lot of times people don't understand or can't relate. If you're surrounded by a community that is not entrepreneurs, I've seen that a lot. Sometimes I'll call my family crying and I'm like, what did I do? And they're like, see, if you just got a 9-to-5 job, this wouldn't be happening. And I'm like, I know, but with success.
But also all these other wonderful things wouldn't be happening either.
Exactly. And so I love that you're vulnerable enough to say that, to admit that, and also ask for help, right? Those are the 3 things: asking for help, being open for help, and then providing help and assistance to other people. So
yeah, it's kind of a funny thing. I think no matter what, your family's always going to want the best for you, and they're going to love you the way that they love you based on what they know and their beliefs and all that. Like my mom is very religious, and my dad was always my biggest supporter, but he passed away 9 years ago. So I was, I had my mom and I was relying on her more, but she would always push me to try to get a job and all that stuff. Didn't matter how well I was doing financially. And finally, when I was 26 or 27, the hedge fund that I was running had like $1 million a month. It was like $1,040,000. I thought that number was really interesting, because she had always been pushing me to get this court officer job that was $40,000 a year. So I literally went back to her that day and I'm like, Mom, I just got her returns back for the month. We made $1 million more than a starting salary for a year of a court officer. I'm not telling you this to brag or to impress you. I'm just telling you that I'm going to be fucking okay with the finances, and you need to let go of the dream of me becoming a civil servant, because it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Finally let go of it. You don't have to have that crazy, but sometimes you have to put down a boundary, because otherwise there's always this kind of escape hatch in the back of your mind subconsciously of, am I really committed to this or not? Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that the life's been amazing ever since. It hasn't. I've been through some crazy personal journey since. Money's not going to solve all your problems, but it's definitely a measuring stick a lot of people like to use. So I just thought it was a funny story to share.
Yeah. And I mean, I was thinking about it the other day, the way that the generation before us, right, our parents and up to about our generation, we're close to the same age. They were so conditioned that that's what you did. You went to college, you got a job, And then you stayed in that job for 30, 40 years, and then you just retired very nicely, right? And so our generation,
and that worked.
It worked. And, with the crash in 2008, we started college in a very unstable time, right?
Yeah.
So we knew that these corporations weren't always going to provide for us and that they could go under at any time. And so I think that's when the big launch of this whole wave of entrepreneurship came, because it was better to kind of bet on yourself than on a big corporation. And so it's so hard for a lot of parents to grasp that, because that's how they were conditioned through years and years, and that's how they did it. So they don't understand what's different.
Yeah, I think this is advice that I want to give myself. And some people struggle with this and some people don't, but since it's pressing, and I think somebody will benefit from it, I'm going to share it, which is, it's really easy to look at an industry, look at a investment, look at a company you're going to start, look at a job you're going to have, whatever it is, right? As, oh my God, that's so competitive. So many other people have done that. And to some extent you might be right. But here's two things that you may not realize from not seeing it from the inside, is that most of your competition is irrelevant for two reasons. Reason one is they're not going to ever do it as bad. They don't want as bad as you. They're not going to do it as good as you. They're not going to work as hard as you. They're not going to create as many things as you're going to create. They're not going to be as committed as you are. And the second thing is, some people want to learn from you versus everybody else. Even if you're teaching the exact same thing, they're going to resonate with you versus everybody else. There's always a room in the marketplace for innovation. And the size of the marketplaces are like doubling and tripling. Like, we're just in the beginning of this whole mastermind coaching, consulting, service-based entrepreneurship space, and set to triple. That's 3x in the next 5 years. Wow. So if it's going to be twice again, 3 times again as big, in the next coming years, are you going to grab a piece of that? Because it's the time to plant the seeds are now, not 5 years from now when it is really saturated and crowded and there's 3 times as much going on. So, we're kind of on the fringe still. We're just kind of getting our bearings. And there's only been a few real big breakout businesses like Tony Robbins. And even they are relatively small compared to major corporations and what it could be after all the consolidation has happened. So I think we're just getting started. And this industry, you're going to have so many more people getting out of the traditional workforce and into entrepreneurship. And there's so many people to help that I don't see it slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah, even people don't know, but coaching hit $1 billion last year, and it's only slated to grow annually even more, about a 6% more per year. And I say that to a couple of people and they're like, how much? I'm like, yeah, billion with a B. Yeah. And so there's obviously need in the marketplace for this. And I feel like as coaches become entrepreneurs, because I saw something the other day that said coaches aren't entrepreneurs. And I have to disagree with that, because coaches are entrepreneurs, right? Like,
sure.
They sometimes do get caught in trading time for money, but they are entrepreneurs. And so there is a need for this upcoming coaching entrepreneur field, and to give them support that can be through masterminds or other events like this. 100%.
And I would consider myself more in the entrepreneur space than the coaching space, although I do coach. It's a really interesting thing to look at, is that if you take the entire self-education industry by some metrics, it's like 355 million a day. That's $1 billion every 3 days. That's 129 billion a year. And that's going to triple, which is $1 billion a day in 5 years. It's amazing to think about. So, now's the time for sure. If you're ever going to get into something, it's validated, it's proven, there's a demand, it's growing. You want to be in a thriving industry, not in a dying one. Yeah. So I would definitely put your sights on this now and double down if that's what you're looking to do. And even if 1 or 2 people watching this get that message and really grok it, that they can do it, they should do it, and they need to go all in now in the next 5 years to really be successful. You can write your own ticket.
100%. And if they wait, if you wait 1 day, that's how much is it actually going to set you back?
Yeah. And we can teach you how at the conference. So come on by September.
We can teach you how. That was the next thing that I was going to say, making sure that you have the support, because entrepreneurship is not easy. And now with all of these millennials that are up and coming with a lot of entrepreneurship, they, paint a pretty picture of all of their successes. And little do they know how many people have actually cried or having breakdowns or suffered burnout as an entrepreneur. So support system and community is really key to being an entrepreneur, because you can't always, even if you do build your business, go to your staff and be like, we just lost our biggest client and we don't know how we're going to make payroll. That's not something that your subordinates need to hear. That's something that at a mastermind or at a conference, finding your tribe, that they can be like, you know what, that's not a problem. Let's try to find you a different leader. Let's try to find you a different client kind of thing. So
100%. 100%. Yeah. And we're just really excited to share with you guys and make sure that you have everything you need. I think that's the most important thing. It's just giving people an access point, you know, and I could tell a couple stories of times, you know, I've given people an access point and I didn't know how it was going to work out, but it worked out better than I could have ever imagined. You know, like some of my clients, like Brad Newman, for example, who started out with us in the mastermind a couple of years ago, and now he's got his own, you know, company that he's growing fast, and he's got 20 new clients, and he worked for Sam Ovens and Scott Olford, and you know, did over $2 million in high ticket sales. It started out wasn't that way. You know, he was making $12 an hour, 100K in debt, living in his mom's basement. Now he lives in San Diego with me. Actually, he's my roommate, and he's kicking butt. I mean, that can happen in 2 years, you know, if you're committed to the outcome. People like Ryan Schraube, he was in the Navy for 17 years, and now he's a very high paid coaching consultant. You know, and Chris Yates, he started with us in January, didn't know anything about marketing or sales. He's a former cop. And now 6 months later, he's got 30 clients. He runs a mastermind for police officers that helps them stay mentally, emotionally, and physically prepared for the force. Because he was in the force for 7 years and he washed out to the PTSD, and he realized there was no support group for that. You know, like who's going to get in a room with a bunch of cops that are just used to not talking about stuff and make a shift except for a former cop. So I really, truly believe that life is happening for you to show up in a new and more powerful way. You know, like Brad was an interventionalist and helped people through drug addiction before he became a sales expert. So he'd already mastered communication. He just had to learn communication for sales. And now he's incredible at it. And Ryan already had leadership in his blood. He worked on a Navy submarine for 17 years. He was a master chief. Like whatever your goal is now, or whatever you have been preparing for, life has been preparing you for, can become a business if you're willing to think outside the box and just trust that, you know, God, the universe, whatever, has a plan for you, and step into that. And you figure it out along the way. And life is like a movie. You wouldn't want to know the ending. So it's okay to go into the movie and enjoy the movie as it plays out without knowing how it's going to turn out.
Yeah. 2 things on that is, you know, that being able to niche in that way based on your experiences is huge, because that gives you an advantage over the other market. And then another thing that you mentioned was time. Like it takes time. So many people, and we've really just like glamorize these overnight successes, and that's not how it happens. It takes time. You know, a conscious coach is my 4th company, and it took time, right? I had to polish and have failed businesses and have successful businesses to realize what my calling was, and then have time to move towards it, right? So those are 2 things that I just wanted to highlight from that.
Absolutely. And I just want to say how grateful I am to be here. Thank you so much, Alex, for putting this on and doing all the amazing things that you do and being a part of the community and the mastermind. And I'm so looking forward to serving at your conference, and can't wait to meet everybody there.
We're so excited to have you. So if you have anything else, no questions came through, #replay. And if you have a question, we will have or email them to Brad so we can answer them.
And no matter how many interviews you've had, sometimes nobody shows up on the live. That's okay, but we'll get everybody out there.
That's okay. Everybody will be watching the replay. I know that. And actually, because
we did have a few people, to be fair, but they kind of popped on and off. That's how it is. People are busy.
That's okay. And we will not be having a live on Thursday because it's 4th of July. Everybody is going to be so occupied with their tribes. So we are going to be with our community on the 4th of July, give you guys a break from the live.
Spend time with your family. Enjoy it.
Yeah. Enjoy the sun in summer. It's here all over the place. So enjoying that. And then I did want to announce let me double check, see if there was anyone else, but our ticket, because we were going to raffle it away on Thursday, and then I realized that it was the 4th of July. We are giving away a free ticket today. And so our winner is Sean. So Sean Bartlett just won a 3-day general admission ticket to a Conscious Coach conference. So Sean, I will tag
Sean.
Yeah, Sean. So if you're online, Sean, amazing. If not, we will be emailing you with the code so that you can get your free ticket.
Amazing.
Yay. Okay. Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much for hopping on, Brad. I hope you have a wonderful Tuesday. It's Taco Tuesday. Hope you get your taco.
I'm going to get tacos at 7, actually.
Oh, there you go. See, I had a feeling. Anything else you would like to leave our wonderful viewers with?
Yeah, I can't wait to meet you all in person. I'm really excited to have this opportunity to serve. And what's coming up for me is that you have something inside you that people need. And everybody in this world is like a kind of a puzzle piece in this larger mosaic. And the painting you'll still be able to see what it is without your puzzle piece. But without your puzzle piece, it won't be as bright as it could have been. It won't be as shiny as it could have been. Not as many people will have seen it as could have, and not as many other people will be affected by your light because you just didn't add your piece. So I would just encourage you to, whatever that piece is, better than it was even 100 years ago. And I don't see that slowing down. So really excited for the future and really grateful for the present and everything that's led up to becoming what it is today. So thank you for being a part of that, and keep shining that light.
Thank you. Amazing. I just dropped his link, makemoremarbles.com, right, in the comments. Yep. So if you want to check out Brad's program, you can definitely do it there. Also, you can probably follow him on Facebook. I will tag. So if you're local, join his mastermind. It's a great mastermind, especially if you're new to coaching, figuring things out, have a business for a while. There is a whole spectrum there.
100%. Yeah. And if you're interested in Mastermind specifically, we have a website just for that, which is buildamastermind.com. And you can check out the free challenge, get involved in the community at buildamastermind.com/challenge. And if you're interested in coming to the local mastermind in San Diego, just reach out to me on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Brad Hart. I'd love to have you.
Awesome. So I just dropped that link as well, and then I will tag Brad in this video as well, so you can follow him and get connected. Awesome. We look so forward to seeing all of you guys, and Brad having you host. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I'm so excited.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you everybody for watching.
Have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye.
Bye.